Hi, so I don't mind talking about it. So basically, I started testosterone. I have it on 26. So when was that? Was 2000? It was either 2015, 2016. That's when I started testosterone. I think 2016. And yeah, it was. At first, it was fine. Like in the beginning, very. I would say a year. I would say a year in is when my enzymes would start being like a little high or whatever. It wasn't like anything super concerning. They just, they didn't really make a big deal about it. And then it got to the point, like there was one time I was at the hospital for something totally different, not anything related to tea, but I had to get labs done, and my liver levels were so high that they told me they thought I had hepatitis, which I was like literally shitting bricks. I was like, what do you mean I have hepatitis? Like out of nowhere. I was terrified, so I had to go get tested for that. That came back negative. So then they started focusing on the testosterone. And literally after that, it was downhill. My levels were never, good, normal, whatever. Well, that's a lie. It would be like they would be normal for like 2 weeks, and then they'd be bad again. And then they'd lower my dose. It'd be okay for like 2 weeks, and it's bad again. It was just a constant battle after that. I could not get consistent good readings with my liver. We tried everything. I tried cycling. I tried lower dose. I tried just everything. Nothing worked. That was the health, effects that I experienced. I'm sure people experience other, issues. So having heightened enzymes is actually not common, but like it isn't unheard of in the trans male community or trans mass community. I had a doctor at the time, well, I still have him, he's a great doctor, and he oversaw everything when I was dealing with this, and he actually he used to work in New York with it was at a trans center, and I asked him, I'm like, do you see this? Does this happen? And he's like, yeah, it has happened. We've had to get some clients off testosterone because their liver just can't handle it. So I know I'm not alone. Oh, and I actually know one or two people who dealt with it too, but in the scheme of things, I think it's pretty rare. People have been taking testosterone a really long time. Not to downplay any health effects or whatever, but I don't think anyone should be scared into not taking it. Just be more aware, you know what I mean? And obviously, there's other health risks like increased heart attack risk, blah, 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 because, male hormones heighten certain things, so. Yeah, sure. The only thing is I don't have much to say about it because, I had almost no symptoms except, I said, I had, horrible cystic acne, which I thought was, hormonal, but it didn't make sense because I had been on T for, I don't even know how long. I was on it for 3 years total, and my face only broke out in, cystic acne, or really broke out at all when my liver was failing. I didn't have any symptoms. I was not in well, maybe. I was gonna say I wasn't in acute liver failure, but I was definitely high enough that they thought I had hepatitis and that I was gonna have to get treated for it. So I don't know. What I would say is I would not internalize my story and let it freak you out. I mean, of course, stay on your labs and maintain communication with physicians and stuff, but I wouldn't take my story and like I said, internalize it, because I've never I know a couple other trans men who have had liver issues, but not so I think they were able to go back on it. Maybe one of them wasn't, but I mean, that's still pretty rare. That's pretty rare. Because I used to have an Instagram with 60,000 mostly trans men following me, and that's pretty rare if you think of how many trans men that is and how many people I saw in my shoes. So please don't try to think it's going to happen to you. Also, I want to point out, if you have a physician that's doing labs routinely, if you like, it's the liver is such a great organ, it really is, that even, I'm not a doctor obviously, but potentially if you did, end up having high enzymes and it was a sign that, okay, something's not right, they'd have time to adjust your dose. And it's not like you go into acute liver failure. I shouldn't say that, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but in my experience, it was mine would go high and then they'd go back low. And then, my doctors had time to, like, it wasn't like, don't worry about it, man. I don't know. I'm probably making it worse. It's really, I think it's rare. I think it is. Hi, so thank you for your question. I have not been on T in probably 2 years, right? Because when I met you, I wasn't on Testa. I mean, like, when I met you in person. Yeah, 2 years. I haven't been on testosterone in 2 years. I don't right now have any plans on going back because I don't want to risk anything happening to my liver. Realistically, I could get access to T. It's, in my opinion, maybe a little too easy to get. Maybe I shouldn't say that, but I do think sometimes people don't weigh the health risks always. I do think my situation was somewhat rare. People do have heightened enzymes on testosterone, not frequently, but it's not unheard of. But to reach the level that I reached, I think is pretty rare. Yeah, so I probably, I don't foresee myself ever going on it again, just because to me it's not worth the risk. It's just not worth the risk to me. But thank you for your question, and I hope you have a good day. Hi, so this is in regards to when I had to go off testosterone because my liver started to fail, and I made the decision to detransition and present as a feminine woman. Hold on. Here's my son and I during that time. I had been on testosterone for 3 years, and I snapped back like that. So yeah, I'm still pretty proud of that, to be honest. I get this question a lot though, like, why didn't you just present as a masculine woman instead of presenting feminine? And honestly, the only reason is like demographics. Where I live, it's not super easy to go out not passing, and I had no idea how my changes were gonna revert. I kind of thought like they were gonna revert like that, like I was just immediately not gonna pass, which I still have trouble passing now, but I figured it'd be easier. At least even if I had to deal with the mental stuff of gender dysphoria, I was already in therapy for it. I have been for years, and I figured at least I wouldn't have to deal with the everyday backlash of going in public and just dealing with that, because when I did present as a feminine woman, like, nobody hassled me, you know what I mean? So yeah, when I get asked that, I just have to assume, and no offense to you because I know you were totally like being kind, but it must be from someone in an area that's not had to deal with that, because when I was a masculine lesbian, and even when I didn't pass as a trans man, even not so much now actually, which is odd. Maybe because I have a 6 foot tall, like 380 dude with me all the time. I don't know. But I did used to get hassled a lot. It was horrible. I couldn't even walk into a restaurant, dude, without people like talking shit. It was horrible. I wanted to avoid that. I was already at a very fragile time. Going off testosterone when you're a trans guy is really hard. It is probably one of the hardest things I've gone through. And so then to have to deal with like, just shit in public, I did not want to deal with it. So that's why I made the decision. Hi, so while I do think, I'm not saying you shouldn't, like, be mindful and keep up on your blood work and listen to your physician, I wouldn't take my story and, internalize it and be scared it's gonna happen to you. From my understanding, it's very rare. I don't know why my liver reacted badly to T. I do have mild fatty liver, but, like, that's never been mentioned by any physician as, a correlation to why, that happened. I have other friends that have that. It didn't happen when they were on T. I don't know. I don't know if, I really don't know. Maybe I just have like a sensitive liver. I know like if I have to take Tylenol and stuff, within like a day or two, my enzymes are going to be like crazy high. I've been tested for every type of like hepatitis and everything. I don't have anything like that, but my son is the same way. If my son needs Tylenol, like automatically his liver levels rise. He's gotten, observed and tested for everything. I don't know. Maybe some people just have sensitive livers. I'm not sure. It's crazy though. Like sometimes it's like, it's like a little angering, because like, listen, I don't drink and I've never had an issue with drinking. I have strong feelings towards alcohol for my own reasons, and so I've like never touched it. And I know people who have like, you know, drank heavily their entire lives and their livers like heal like that, and they have no issues whatsoever. They can be on medications that affect your liver, and it's like, how is that fair? It's not fair. Crazy. Like, I've never ever been into drinking, and even as far as any other type of drug, I've been sober for like almost a decade. So it's crazy that like it's a little frustrating, but I wouldn't worry about it happening to you. I think that my story is, I wouldn't say it's like super rare, because I have been reached out to other trans men who have had high enzymes and stuff like that. But by the way, I should make it clear that I made the decision to stop tea under my doctor's guidance. Like, my doctor didn't say like, you better go off tea now, you need to. Like, they said, you know, you can continue, but here are the risks. And I just felt like the risks weren't worth it to me. So no, people usually don't say like, you know, we're not going to prescribe it anymore, or I've never experienced that, and I've been to various physicians. I just did, you know, what I thought was best for me. So don't listen to my story and get scared. It's just for awareness. Don't get scared. But be smart. Hi, thank you for your question and your concern. That's very sweet. So for those who don't know, I'm a trans man. I was on testosterone for a while, but my liver started to fail. So under my doctor's guidance, I decided to discontinue. So yeah, hold on. Let me show you a picture of when my liver was failing. It's not of my liver or anything. So this is what my face looked like when my liver was failing or beginning to fail. And so testosterone obviously sometimes can cause acne. However, I had been on it for a while, and this had started out of nowhere. So I don't think it was just that. I definitely think this was a sign that my body wasn't doing well. It was extremely painful. It was terrible. But this was like right at the peak of when my liver was really bad. Maybe it's unrelated, but I just know that at that point, like, I started having a lot of issues. I had other health issues as well that I don't know. You know, unfortunately, there's not a lot of research. I should rephrase that, because I know I'm going to make a lot of people mad. While there might be a lot of research on how testosterone affects trans men, there isn't a lot of research on, like, certain things going wrong and certain symptoms. I had a very hard time finding stuff on liver failure related to testosterone. You might find 1 or 2 YouTube videos. That's about it. So yeah, that's part of why I speak out about it. But my liver now is fine. Knock on wood. I have to like thank God after. It's like a ritual I have to do. But like I'm very lucky. It pretty much healed itself like right after. And it did it like 2 or 3 times, because I kept trying to go back on and like lower my dose, do a mid-grade dose, like, you know, I tried to cycle, like nothing worked. My liver always reacted badly. And so, you know, every time I would go off it was very quick. Within 3 months, my liver was back to normal. It was amazing. It's such a great healer. It was so quick. As of right now, I don't think I'll ever try to go on testosterone again. I don't know that I feel it's worth the risk. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not really sure why it happened. I mean, I have mild fatty liver disease, but like a good portion of the population has that. I have trans men who are my friends that have that, and they didn't react badly to tea. It was such an immediate response. Like whenever I went on testosterone, like my doctors, like we all knew, like, okay, my levels are going to be really high. But once they started getting to the point where they were like, they thought I had like hepatitis. Then I was like, all right, time to get off. So yeah, as of right now, I live without testosterone. My liver is okay, and hopefully it'll stay okay. And I don't see myself going back on right now. Thank you for your question. So somebody asked me this in a comment. Unfortunately, I can't find the comment. I apologize. A lot of times I'll see a comment, I'll be like, I gotta reply to that, but then I forget to like screenshot it to like find where I can, you know, look for it later on or whatever. So my apologies. But the question was, do I get dysphoric now that I'm not on testosterone? And the answer is absolutely yes. I wish that I could sit here and act like it doesn't bother me at all. That is a lie. It is very bothersome. I don't so much get dysphoric about how I look or anything, because I'm actually very, very happy with where I am. I don't consistently always pass, but I feel really good about myself. But what I get dysphoric about is feeling stagnant. Like when I was on testosterone, even when I was on it for like 3 years, you know what I mean? Like, even though I knew most major changes had occurred, I still felt like, if there was something that I was down about, I thought like, well, I could look forward to, the future, and I had some hope for the future because I wasn't done my journey. I wasn't done medically transitioning, and I just felt like there was always hope for improvement. There was always hope on, passing even more, you know what I mean? I don't like not having that sense of hope. And I'm not saying I'm like hopeless or anything like that. Like, I have a really good life, you know what I mean? But just in that sense, it's very hard to feel like you're at a standstill. And realistically, I know there's other things you can do. I know there's other ways to medically transition. I get it. A lot of them, in my opinion, are too risky for anything that I would personally pursue right now. But it does, it makes me feel like I'm stuck sometimes. So that's something I'm still working on, and to be honest, I don't know if I'll ever completely get over that. But with that being said, I think it's important to, when I feel that sense of like claustrophobia and being stuck in that, moment, to really pull myself out by remembering, how far I've come in other areas. There were times where bottom dysphoria alone was so bad for me. Like, I thought I would never, ever have a functioning relationship. I never thought that I would have like a sex life, anything like that was actually enjoyable. I never thought that, and now I'm married and everything's great, you know what I mean? I'm not like, just burdened every day with thoughts surrounding that. I feel like I handle everyday life more when I don't pass consistently. I'm not as like hard on myself. So I really try to handle that dysphoria by realizing how far I've come in other terms of dysphoria, and that gives me a new sense of hope. So thank you.
Hi, nope, I would not detransition if my husband asked me to. I wouldn't do something like that for nobody except myself. That's part of why my husband is attracted to me. I know it's because, like, I have a high level of independence. I'm strong. I'm kind of bullheaded. I know those are traits he values. But not only that, my husband likes dudes. My husband doesn't like women. He was supportive of me when my liver failed. I decided to detransition for a short period. If you want to know more about that, if someone's new watching this, just go to my other videos. I'll link the playlist. But he did that to be supportive, he was still attracted to me because I'm the same person, and even as a woman, I looked like a fucking assassin. Hold on, let me show you. This was me as a woman. I look like I could beat anyone's ass. Like, I was pretty masculine. But yeah, my husband was like supportive at that time, but I'm sure he was relieved. I know he was relieved when I transitioned back to male, because that's his preference, and that's okay. Me detransitioning, that was my choice, and I was grateful that he stuck by me, but I never acted like, that changed his sexuality, because it didn't. I don't think that's right of people. Like, if you're gonna be with somebody and you're gonna make a decision to change your gender and change your appearance, I don't think you should like demand that they conform. I was just lucky enough that he loved me for me and he stayed, but my husband prefers men. I literally cannot imagine him ever requesting that. I can't even imagine. Hi, thank you for your question. So I get this question a lot, and I know people probably think it's repetitive. I keep answering it, but I think it's very important to see things from a perspective that it's not all, life isn't always kosher, and it's not always safe to live a certain way, and you'll understand when I say. Okay, so this is in reference to the fact that, after I had been medically transitioning to male for about probably 3 years, my liver started to fail on testosterone, so, with the guidance of my physicians and stuff, I decided it was the right decision to go off. I didn't want to face, like, organ failure over it. A lot of people, I will say it was primarily cis women who asked me this, which I thought was odd at the time.
they asked me like, well, why are you like, detransitioning and presenting feminine? Like, why not just present as a masculine lesbian? Why not present as a masculine woman? And literally, to me, it's so obvious why. First of all, I'm not a lesbian, so that clears that up. Secondly, I don't like, I really, like, first, I recognize that, like, I do have, like, some privilege as, like, especially in situations where I do pass as a white guy. That's not often, but when I do, like, I do recognize, like, that does come with a level of privilege. However, it's really amazing to me how people don't know how lucky they are if they get to go out of their house in any way they want and not have to like worry about repercussions, like, especially because I have a kid. When I did present as a masculine lesbian for a good portion of my life, that's what I had, like, death threats and shit. Like, I literally, I can't even say the type of threats I had on here because I'll get my account deleted. You know what I mean? Like, it got bad. And so, yeah, like, dressing as a feminine woman, like, even if I was covered in tattoos, like, I still blended in more. People left me alone. You know what I mean? If I had went around, like, as a trans man who just didn't pass and people just thought I was, either a masculine lesbian or a trans man that didn't pass, like, it would have been more dangerous. And that's why I always talk about how trans men who don't pass and masculine lesbians who live in conservative areas, like, you don't understand the amount of, like, the level of badass that goes into that, because it's not always safe. It's not. Even trans women that don't pass, like, anyone, like, like, I'm just speaking from my experience. That's why I, said, what I've gone through. But yeah, that's why. It was a safety issue. It was a safety issue.
Hi, thank you for your question. My liver started to fail because of testosterone. There wasn't, like, any real reason behind it. It's just a side effect that some trans men face. Even cis men, if they take it, for low T or whatever, it's a side effect they can face as well. I don't really have, like, tons of liver issues or anything. I have mild fatty liver, but, like, I have tons of trans male friends who have that, and they had no side effects. It just, from what my physicians tell me, it's just, a side effect of testosterone that some trans men face. I do think it's kind of rare. Obviously, I'm not a doctor. Actually, I sound so funny saying that, but you'd be surprised at what you have to say on here. But yeah, I guess it's just a side effect. As far as starting my transition again, I still feel like I've transitioned. I still live as male. Do I think I'll ever start hormones again? Probably not. I don't know. Sometimes I think about it, especially, like, if I really could stick to the whole new plant-based thing and get healthier, maybe I would try again, but I don't know. Maybe not. It would be, like, a huge decision. But yeah, I still consider myself transitioned. There are trans men that don't take tea at all, that never even started tea, and they're still, they live socially as male and everything, like, so, I don't know. I don't really know. Sometimes I wonder if it's really worth it. When I know this isn't, like, everybody's experience, but, I'm just going off of mine. Do I really want to go on a hormone that's gonna make my face, like, I might break out? I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like, my face might break out. I could have chest regrowth from it, depending on if they kept my levels solid. I don't know, like, I get angry on it. I have a lot of anger on it. It's increased. I have anger issues anyways. Do I really want to do that for maybe my voice to be half a decibel? Is that what it's called? Deeper. And to maybe have 2 more pieces of facial hair. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not. And I'm getting kind of used to the fact that I look kind of androgynous. Sometimes I think that's why people find me appealing, to be honest. Do I wish I could pass every day? Absolutely. But do I think some people like that I look like you can't fucking tell? Yeah, I think people are drawn to that. I'm not naive. But I consider myself transitioned. To be honest, a lot of physicians would not consider me transitioned. They would consider me detransitioned just because I'm not on hormones, because for some providers, they literally engage medically transitioning just by hormones, which is funny because there's surgeries, there's, like, legal changes, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's the 411. I don't know. Hope you have a good day. Hi, thank you for your question. No, I'm not on testosterone. I haven't been for
over 2 years, or at least 2 years. I was on it for years, but if we're being honest, it didn't do much for me except my voice, and I got these cool little divots in my face from it, but mainly my voice. Hold on.
Off my new hair. It's red, brown, purple.
So yeah, it did change my voice a lot, like even though others still view my voice as somewhat feminine or whatever, it's changed a lot, and honestly I would have went on T just for that. But yeah, it didn't do much for me. So when a lot of people are like, do you think you're gonna go back on or whatever, sometimes like I have to like bring myself down to reality, or back to reality, because my first reaction is like, oh, I would love to go back on T one day, but then I'm like, but really, is it worth like organ failure, because it didn't even give me hardly any changes? And I think that's important to talk about, because there's a lot of trans men who go on T and they expect, like, you know, they expect it to just hit them like heavy, you know what I mean? And for some it does, for a lot it does, but not for everybody. I know other trans men who, you know, still struggle with not seeing a lot of changes even after years, and it's frustrating because you see these other dudes and they go on T for like, you know, a fucking week and they got a fucking beard, you know what I mean? It's frustrating. But yeah, it's not for everybody. Everyone's body can't handle it, and not everybody sees fantastic results on it. So yeah, nope, I'm not on T at the moment. I don't have any plans on going on anytime soon. But yeah, that's my story. And by the way, I stopped it. You can see more about this. I have like playlists on it, but the reason I'm not on T is because it impacted my liver. My liver started to fail on it. We tried everything. I just couldn't stay on. I don't like know why my body reacted bad. I guess it just happens to some trans men. My physician used to work in New York with a lot of trans men, and it wasn't like the first time he saw it. Like, you know, I wouldn't say it's common. I'm not a doctor. I have to say that I'm not a doctor, but I'm assuming it's not common from what I've heard, but it is something that happens, unfortunately. Hi, thank you for your question. I'm gonna go with no. I don't think I'll ever be back on testosterone. I, of course, do go through phases where I'll be like, oh, maybe, you know, maybe I can just try to go on a low dose, or maybe, like, I can visit, like, you know, because my doctor wanted to refer me to, like, this clinic or whatever to see if they had any options, but I knew they weren't gonna have any options. So, to be honest, like, when I take a step back, and kind of collect myself from the impulsivity of wanting to go back on, there's no point in me going back on. I've been off testosterone for 2 or 3, I think 2 years, maybe more, and there's really no point. If I want to grow out facial hair, I can still get some facial hair. It's at the same rate as when I was on T. You know, my voice likely would not drop. I was on T for 3 years, so my voice dropped as much as it's going to drop. Also, the thing is that when I was on testosterone, it didn't, honestly, besides like my voice and like a little bit of facial hair, it didn't do all that much for me. And that's not talked a lot about in the trans mass community, that like T isn't always like a savior for everybody. Like for me, let me show you, hold on. So this is me before I even started testosterone. I look pretty much the same. My features are a little bit softer, but I pretty much look exactly the same. When I first found out that my liver was not doing well on testosterone, I remember being infuriated for a period. Not that just my liver was not doing well, but that I would risk a healthy organ for a hormone that did nothing for me, hardly. I remember being like literally just infuriated, like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I've gone, like, you know, I was fine, but I didn't have high enzymes before, and then I go on testosterone hoping it was going to make me pass. I still wasn't passing all the time, you know what I mean? And to think that I was damaging, potentially, like, permanently damaging an organ, you know, for something that had minimal benefits for me was very angering. So I don't know if I want to go through that again, yeah, I mean, my liver's fine now. Like I said, it healed itself. The liver is amazing how it can sometimes just heal itself. But it really is angering to me knowing that, like, and it was hard too, because like I'd see trans men who were on it for like 2 weeks and they'd like look like they were on it for a year. I'm exaggerating a little, but not really. And here I was on it for years and I still didn't pass all the time. So I don't think I want to revisit that again. So I'm gonna go with no. No, when my liver started to fail, I had already been on it for quite some time, definitely over a year. I don't know if it was 2 years. In total, I was on it 3 years, but it was gradual. It is, a lot of people do say that the gel, which is androgel, does not affect your liver, but that's false. That's not true at all. I've heard it too, though. I have a lot of trans men say that to me, but it's right on the side effects. It affects your liver as well. But not only that, I have a kid, so I can't use androgel. I was actually denied using it because if it comes in contact with children, it's dangerous. So yeah, a lot of trans men will say that. They'll say like, oh, but like, the gel, it's like a lot less side effects, but it still carries a risk. So I will be safe and you be safe too.